It's time to roll the credits with Chris and Wayne. Hey, welcome to Roll the Credits with Chris and Wayne. I'm Wayne Pyle.
And I'm Chris Ty.
Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Roll the Credits is the official video podcast of the Hunter Mountain Film Festival. The Hunter Mountain Film Festival is dedicated to connecting ambitious independent artists to share, learn, communicate, and network over the 3 days of the festival with a one-of-a-kind film experience. Not only does Hunter Mountain Film Festival celebrate film, but we are also an interactive mountain adventure. And if times, yes, we are. And if times were different and you went to the Hunter Mountain Film Festival in person, you would be surrounded by some of the most beautiful scenery upstate New York has to offer. Nice. But now, like most places, we are all online and very easy to access at huntermountainfilmfestival.com. So check us out from October 23rd through the 25th for more great content. So before we get started tonight, talking to our two special guests, I just want to say, how about those Emmy Awards last night? Schitt's Creek swept the Comedy Awards, right? Record-breaking sweep of the Comedy Awards.
I know, and I had a lot of friends on Facebook who were complaining about it. Some were like, they don't deserve this. What the heck is going on? I don't understand this. And others were like, no, you got to give it a chance. It's the best show ever.
I really have enjoyed watching it, but I was shocked when every award was like, and Schitt's Creek, and Dan Levy stands up 4 times, just
up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
And how about Mark Ruffalo?
Oh yeah, Mark Ruffalo, another local project shot up here in the Hudson Valley.
That's right, Hudson Valley.
That's right.
I actually saw a friend on Facebook was in the show with him, giving it a shout out, congratulations. That's
very nice. Yeah, very nice.
For the whole thing. Getting ready for this show, Wayne.
That's right. That's right.
But, Wayne, I believe a show that you were on won something. Succession.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Succession on HBO did great. It was very exciting to sit there and watch and see everybody stand up. We got the writing. Jesse Armstrong got an Emmy for writing, and Andre Perec got directing, which I got to work with him on my episode, which was really cool. Great.
And your character was?
Steve Cox, a Jim Cramer-like newscaster on their network, which was a lot of fun. And then Jeremy Strong got his Emmy. Everybody was excited about that. And they also got Outstanding Drama, so that was very cool.
Funny little thing. I don't know if you remember this, Wayne, but the day you were filming, I had no idea you were even filming, but you and I ran into each other outside a bar in New York City.
Oh, that's right.
I was meeting a friend.
That's right. I do remember that.
I was there for an audition, and you were coming out of your filming. You had done filming.
Didn't we had a couple PBRs and relaxed.
That's right. We went and celebrated.
Yeah, that was fun.
Until you mentioned it, I forgot all about that.
That's really cool. I had completely forgotten about that too. Those times, right?
Yes, when we could do that back in the day.
Yes, when we could do that, exactly.
In the before time.
In the before times, exactly. So guys, let's get right into these interviews. Yeah. We have these, I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm really excited to be speaking with our two special guests tonight, Adam Feingold and Brandon Morris. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
So,
hey guys, thanks for having us.
And Adam, it says here that you're an actor and director known for Feed the Beast and Horace and Pete, and you've also appeared on Blue Bloods, Gotham, and The Daily Show. Oh my God. Your most recent credits include a recurring role on ABC's For Life, and it was just announced that you'll be playing Paul on a project called Cleveland.
Very cool. Yeah. Hey, Brandon, it says on your IMDb page, I'm going to basically read this off. just correct me if I get anything wrong here, but it says that you are a multi-ethnic African-American, Native American, Chippewa, Latin, French, Italian, Polish, and German actor. Living and working on the East Coast, you've been in the biz for over 20 years, working on stage and screen, originating roles at the Theater for Playwrights. And on screen, you're known for playing no-nonsense figures of authority. I love that. Your most recent credits are listed as recurring roles on the TV series The Flight Attendant and also For Life, as well as a number of guest star and co-star credits, including roles on CSI Miami, Law & Order, SVU, Burn Notice, Gotham, Veep, Madam Secretary Bull, and many more. Awesome. Exciting to talk to you guys. You both play recurring roles on ABC's For Life, which is really great. Tell us more about your roles on that show and what typical day is like for you. And either one of you can go first, whoever would like.
Well, Adam's currently shooting. Well, why don't you take that one?
What's that? What was the last thing you said?
You're currently shooting. Why don't you take that one?
Thanks, Brandon. So yeah, we were lucky enough to get, I think deserved enough too, but lucky enough to be renewed for season 2. And the whole process and production has been just awesome. We started shooting a couple of weeks ago, season 2. Unfortunately, we did have a minor shutdown, but I think we're going to be resuming in the next couple of days. And from start to now, the whole thing's been a fun ride. Actually, Brandon, who plays Lassiter, and I went out for the same role, Lassiter. And for me, I went in on a Saturday. I was in tech for one act festival with my theater group. And, you rarely have an audition on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
my agent called, and she was like, they want you to come in at 1:00. And we were putting the show up, I think Tuesday, and we really had to run through everything a bunch of times. And I was like, you know what? I'm running tech for this show. And she's like, well, let me see what's going on here. And it turned out that the audition was literally on the same block as the theater that we were running, or Ripley Greer on 38th Street. Yeah.
Right.
And it was Julie Schubert, who's awesome casting director who I've known for quite some time and I love. And so I was able to run my show and then run out to the audition, do my audition, run back for the next run. And it was, I think I was called like a week or 2 later. And Michelle, both of our agents, said to me, they're offering you security guard number 1. And I was like, okay, great. And it wasn't many lines, if one line. And I was like, great. And so that was a little exciting. And then a week later they called and they were like, you know what? They're thinking of you for a correctional officer. And since the show is a prison-based show, they're going to have a group of correctional officers that basically, are seen throughout the season. I was like, wow, just keeps getting better.
That's really cool.
And then a couple of days later, they were like, you know what? They're going to make you the transport correctional officer, and your name's going to be Michelli. And that's what happened. And
yes.
And, it was just really awesome. And, just like a little tidbit about shooting, it was actually Brandon's last day. We were shooting at Queens House of Detention on Queens Boulevard, which is a real functioning prison. And the 4th floor is devoted for shooting. I think they shoot Orange is the New Black there and a bunch of other shows. And it was late. It was dark. It was cold. It was like 30 degrees. And Brandon had already wrapped, and we were in the the parking lot. And it was there was a shot where he's being brought back into the prison. So I'm with him, and the director of that episode happened to be the creator, and he came up to me and, he gave me a look. He's like, pretty good for a guy that was only supposed to have one line. And, it was like it was that awesome moment, to be on the last episode. And I was actually there the last shot of the day.
That's really cool.
A week later. Yeah. So it's been a fun experience.
That was the thing about I was actually in Atlanta. I did a self-tape, and, they gave out this audition. It was like a couple-page audition. They said they're going to be looking for a couple COs. It's a possible recurring.
Right.
So, and boom, the same as him. I did it. A couple weeks later, I got the call, they want you to do this episode. Okay. And then, I go to do that episode, and then you get the email. It's like, hey, are you available for the week after that?
Oh, yeah.
For the next episode? I'm like, yeah. And then, it's weird because we're kind of, since we're not like the first maybe 5 or 10 on the call sheet, we don't really.
I'm 33. I'm 33. I don't know what
Nice.
number you are, Brandon. Yeah.
32, I'm 32 or 30 something. So we don't know. Like, they all know at the beginning. Like, you 1 through 5, they have every episode laid out what it's going to be, blah blah blah. For
Right.
people under that, it's like, yeah, we might call you and we might not. So it luckily it ended up being 8 episodes spanning across, but some of those I had no idea if they were going to call me next week. But whenever they did, I was like, whoa, I got, I was ecstatic to get another day, another week out of it, another episode. So
That's really great. That's really
it was
great.
just an amazing show. It was a new show, so everybody was very, happy to be there, eager to be there, and we were all just kind of trying to figure stuff out. And Aaron's running the whole thing on his back, like he's got pages and pages of scenes and stuff, but he'll be off camera just like shooting the shit with everybody and kind of hanging out. It's amazing to watch and to work with him and to work with a lot of those other people. I got to work with Glenn Flesher a few times and even besides just working with guys like that, just being able to hang out between takes and talk with them and kind of, just kind of be in that world and see how things roll on that level. It was an awesome experience.
That's really great. That's really great to hear. And I love to hear those stories where it's about like how strong the community is and how positive it really is. You really do have to get everybody together to get these things accomplished. It's so amazing.
Well, that's the amazing thing about coming back during these times when we got renewed, it was like, whoa, awesome. And then when they called to say I was coming back, it was like, whoa. And then it was like, how are we going to do this? And what's it going to be like? And I have to say that first day, there was like that little butterfly. It was almost like first day of school again.
Sure.
But like seeing everybody and the whole team and everyone in production and the crew and, wardrobe and makeup and crafty, it was like, it felt like I was back, in camp with family, that like long away. And, you could, and the weird and, messed up part of it is you can't hug everybody like you want to, but, it still felt great to be back, in
Did you two
For Life world. What's that?
Did you two cross paths at all? Did you ever work together?
Brandon and I?
Yeah.
Brandon and I worked together a few times. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's just talk about like that idea of community. Brandon and I worked together. I mean, it started out at the end where, it was like, oh, let me know if you hear anything. And he was like, let me know if you hear anything.
Right.
But, during COVID, we've gone on many bike rides, played bocce ball a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's been got a nice friendship out of it. Yeah.
What's your favorite
bonus.
bocce place? What's your favorite bocce place?
Yeah, well, it's nice to have that.
Brandon's the
level of
bocce
support.
guy. I'm not
okay. All right.
I went for him.
In Astoria Park.
Nice.
There's a beautiful court in Astoria Park.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice.
So, Adam, on a slightly different topic. I we're talking about improv earlier, and I thought you played the part of Billy in Feed the Beast.
Yes.
And I was watching some of your work, and I believe your character was taken out by Michael Gladys's character. Is that right?
He's actually holding my hands while I'm dying. So I play Michael, his right-hand man. I'm his driver. I rough up people a little bit before I meet my demise. And so that's a funny one. When I went in for that, the character said Goon 1. So it was Goon 1 and Goon 2. So Goon 2, Evan, what's Evan's last name? He's Goon 2 takes out Goon 1 basically. And I was Billy, and he was what was his name on the show? Evan, great guy. Also another guy who I got to know really well and I'm still friends with today. But yeah, Michael Gladys, who was great. We did a lot of work together on that show. He's holding my hands and saying to me, I'm going to watch you die.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was great. I'm glad you had that clip, or maybe I caught. I don't know if I caught it on your page or wherever, but it was classic. But it caught my eye because talking about improv before. I don't know if he would remember me, but Michael Gladys and I used to do improv together when he
in Jersey or in LA?
New Paltz State University.
Oh,
No. Actually, when he was in college, I was working with someone who was teaching it up there, and he was a student.
Nice.
And we would do shows up there. And,
nice.
and he very quickly moved on. As soon as he graduated, he got a Harrison Ford movie, and his career just took off. But
right.
and then all these little connections. There was another castmate. It was Michael Rispoli.
He's great.
He was my nephew's baseball coach.
No way.
These little 63.
Yeah, I have a funny story about him. Michael was at the rap party, and I didn't really have any scenes with him. I would see him coming and leaving from set, and he was always very gracious and nice, and we'd say hello and goodbye. So we were at the rap party, and he comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, man, you were great." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. You too." And we start talking about it, and I said something about like, "God, it sucked that I died." It was it sucked that I died. And he goes, "Get used to it, kid. I got a feeling you're going to be dying a lot in this business." Yeah, it was great. Yeah. But he was great. We talked about, he was really like one of those actors that like I really got, we had a great talk about the craft, and, just, it's funny, like thinking about like where we are now in the world today, and you got to really love this business if you want to be in this business. Like I read what you asked prior, you gave us a little email and things to think about, and it just thinking about Michael and that conversation, it's like this is all about the work now. When I was studying with Maggie Flanagan, she would yell at us like, "It's about the work. This business is all about the work." And now during these times, it's all about the work, because you work, you go to your trailer, if you're lucky to be on location, I was in a park my first day shooting. I could walk around a little bit, but not too far. And it's just, you got to love the work.
Now, speaking of the times and the show for life, has the events of the protests for Black Lives Matter, has that affected, as you've noticed, the sort of the focus of the show, or anything on set, or the way you guys approach your characters? Anything that you've noticed?
I think where, when Brandon was talking about the show prior, he said something that made me think like, that saying, art imitating life, life imitating art. It's really interesting how the show came out at such a time, like even prior to those events.
Right.
And if you think about where we are with the criminal justice system and the idea of police brutality or just negligence, it really I think is significant, in thinking like, here's a show that's like speaking to that. And I can't say that it's modeled around it, but I think when you're watching it, you're kind of like, it brings all that to the surface.
Well,
which I think art is supposed to do.
They put out an article that they were specifically shifting towards dealing with these issues.
Great.
They said they have a good platform for it, so that's where they were pushing the storyline, from what I read. So, and that's public, that's out there, so we're not like giving anything away.
Sure. Yeah, right. We don't want to give away any spoilers, but you have noticed that has been a shift in the.
I personally haven't back yet for season 2.
Oh, I see.
and they're only
Yeah.
on like the third episode. So, and that's the other
Yeah, I
thing.
don't.
If you get a call,
Yeah.
maybe I will. Maybe I've.
Right, right. Hey, Brandon, what about
Be
the
determined.
what about the flight attendant? Fill us in a little bit about how that experience was for you.
That experience was really cool because, like I said before, I was in Atlanta. I had just moved back to New York in December. And I was running back and forth shooting Shooting for Life, and I was just finishing up Shooting for Life, and I had my first audition back in person, because all the Atlanta it's all on tape there mostly. Right. So to have it in person back in New York for my first time, I was a little like, you know. It was like, yeah, you know, it's this thing for the flight attendant, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, I'll go. And I went, and I had a great time, nailed it, and I booked it, and it ended up started shooting a week or two after For Life ended. So never in my career have I gone from one recurring to another.
Oh, that's really cool. That must have been a new, interesting experience for you.
Good problem to have. Yeah.
It wasn't a problem at all. I was absolutely pumped for it. I was ready for it. It was an amazing experience. It stars Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory. It's going to be on HBO Max. We started shooting. I did a few episodes. I had one more day of shooting on like that Monday, and it was like a Thursday, and it ended up being Thursday, March 10th, I think. So 2 days later is when they shut everything down. So, and then they're like, you know, we shut everything down. So everything shut down. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know if they were going to finish it or whatever they were going to do.
Right.
So that was one of the first calls I got back, you know, maybe a month ago, saying, hey, they want to bring you back to come finish, you know, what you started. I was ecstatic.
Great.
That's all.
Yeah. And that was an amazing experience. I hung out with Rosie Perez and Kaylee Cuoco and
very cool.
A couple other lady, I forget her name, but it was and it's going to be something a little different for me that I normally do. I get to play a bit of a different character that I normally play. And
in what way? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I can't.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
That I can't, because having to do with my character, it's very mysterious.
Now I'm intrigued.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot we might be like talking about things that aren't out there yet. So yeah,
right.
Don't give any spoilers for sure.
No,
you got to tune in. You got to tune in.
That's right. You got to tune in and find out.
I just that last week, so I don't want any.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, Chris, you had an interesting question about process as an actor. So we can talk about that without bringing in details about specific shows. Playing a bunch of different characters like this, is there like any specific approach that either of you have from the time that you do the audition, whether it's in the room or whether it's a self-tape, to then when you find out, oh, now I'm this recurring character, what do you think gets adjusted between the audition and what ends up on screen? I stole your question, Chris.
I couldn't
Brandon,
have asked
you want to go
better.
first?
Sure. For me, you're saying kind of what changes from audition to actual.
Yeah, if you can put that into like an expression of your experience.
A big thing for me is asking a lot of questions.
Gotcha.
And I used to kind of think it was bull. I was like, how does that help? You know,
Right.
I used to think TV was like, you just go in, you learn the lines, you look angry or stern or whatever.
Right.
You know, and that's why I really kind of only booked one-liners for a very long time. It wasn't until recently in 2018, actually. So, 18 years into my career, that I actually took an on-camera course that sort of changed my whole way of going about things. And that way was asking a ton of questions.
Great.
Not questions like, what did I have for breakfast this morning? Because I don't think that's helping anybody, but what's my relationship to this person? What do I want from this person? what am I trying to get from this person? Where do we have history? Have we just met? Are we friends? And if we're friends, where did we meet? How did we, you know what I'm saying? And
I do, yeah.
so I do a very kind of, I work maybe 5 or 6 hours per audition, just going through that stuff. And, the lines is like maybe 5% for me of that time doing the lines. But the rest of it's really like, okay, what do I want? How many different ways can I try to get it? What's going to be the most useful? What's, stuff like that. And when you actually get into performance and a run and things like that, it's just more and more questions. So, you get in a scene where, okay, you're here with this person doing this. Why are you there? What were you doing before that? What are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
You just go deeper and deeper into your relationships and things like that. And that's one of the interesting things with Adam and a couple of the other guys, but Adam mostly, I think we probably became the closest from the people actually on the show. I really tried to get, not tried as like I'm doing an actor thing, but like I wanted to get friendly with him. And like, because we both work at the same place, on the show.
Right.
And we've worked with each other for years, so we have some sort of rapport. The rapport I have is different from another CEO. So it's building those relationships on camera and off that I think really help the actual performance and actual tell that story of like, yeah, those two guys, they know each other. Just, you can tell by looking at them, they're, they're friendly or they're not, or whatever their story is. You should be able to just look at them in an instant and be like, yeah, those two guys are, you should tell what the relationship is.
I'm thinking spinoff right now. I'm thinking Lassiter Michelli spinoff.
There you go. There you go. I like that. Who do we need to talk to? That'd be great.
And if you guys are executive producers, I know a couple of guys who wouldn't mind being extras. Just saying. But Brandon, do you find that your process makes it easier for you to you don't have to worry about the lines so much because they just come naturally because you're so into your character at that point?
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I learned. I used to think it was all for television and film. I used to think you needed every single word, perfect punctuation and everything. And if you flubbed the line, I was like, oh God, can we do that again? I flubbed that line. And it was all about the lines for me. But like I said, this training I had, this awesome training, it makes you think of you generate the thoughts that make the lines come up. You know what I'm saying? Like you generate the ideas that bring the thoughts to bring the lines. Because if you're in between, in a scene in your lines and you're just thinking, okay, my next line is going to be this, my next line is going to be this, that's all the camera's going to see. So, but if you're thinking, oh man, this guy just said this and that's really weird, that kind of makes you think about that. And that's where that line comes from. Then it comes from a much more natural, realistic place.
I feel like I could do a whole show about auditioning because I've been exactly where you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I'd love it, man. I mean, I could talk all day about this stuff. I'm fascinated by it. I'm still learning a ton every day.
Yeah.
That's great. Adam, do you have anything that you want to contribute to that conversation as well?
Well, I mean, I agree with most of what Brandon said. When I'm looking at work, whatever it is, from my training, it's like, what am I coming on stage to do? What am I coming into the scene? Like there's an action there and I just have to find it, and then a lot of it is, I feel like the writers are giving you the tools when you have the work in front of you. So for me, reading it a lot kind of helps me kind of open up to little things open up as the days or hours go on. A lot of times you only have a day, but for an audition. But yeah, rereading it a lot helps me. And then I just try to find what am I in this scene to do? Like what am I gonna do? And then for me, I I use some as ifs. I find some characters in my life that kind of resemble what I think I'm going for, and it just helps me shape that. And then you get the set, and the director says, "Do a little bit more of this, a little bit less
Sure.
of that," and
Yeah.
and that's where you're at. I mean, when it comes to the lines, it's funny now that I've worked on a bunch of different shows. You could be on a show and the script supervisor will come up and, she'll be like, or he'll be like, you missed you didn't say after, and, but it all depends. So I do try to get the lines down. And I was reading a couple of months ago about Quentin Tarantino's process. And he said in his interview, he said, if my actors don't know the lines that I've given them backwards and forwards, I will fire them on the first day if I see that they're, yeah. So it's always, it was a while ago. It's always held in the back of my head. It's like, I mean, how much do you want the work and how much are you willing to do before, the preparation. Right. Yeah. And, there is a person who's written this great piece of work, and with For Life, I had the opportunity to sit, to do a couple of table reads and meet bunch of the writers, and, they really, it's a lot of work, and, not to honor that is, I think, I got to honor that when you're working, Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah.
You didn't think that I didn't, right? Was I?
No, not at all.
It sounded like, yeah, this guy's over here.
Not this guy in this window.
No, not at all. Not at all. Now that you say that, I'll sometimes where I'm like a little stuck with an audition, and I'm like, what am I really trying to say, or what is it that I'm doing here? I might play with it where I say it in a different way. I grew up in Queens, New York, and, around some rough guys. And sometimes I'll put it into their vernacular, like, how would they say it? And it just like, that adds a little bit and maybe brings it to life for me. Yeah.
And I think it also depends on the show too, like as far as whether or not
you
stick scriptly to the script. If they want you to do work. Like I remember when I did Katie Keene, and it's written by, they do have one main writer, but then it has to be like agreed upon by committee. So if you change one little thing, they're like, don't do that because then we have to go to the committee, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But with Succession, we were encouraged to improv and
oh, that's amazing. I love when that happens.
In our own, but we still had to do a read of just the lines, like even without the camera on, in case they wanted to throw something in information-wise that they needed. So I think that's interesting to see what shows how they work and whether or not they're super strict with what's been written. I think comedy sometimes is a little more strict because of the rhythms of things. Like they really want to hit and land a certain way. And then sometimes with drama, it might be a little more loose to fit into, kind of what like you said, the vernacular of what's going on in the story itself.
Yeah. For the most part though, they really want you to say the line, like, when I was doing a Bluff City Law, I was like, well, I think it was kind of like this and like this. And they're like, okay, hold on. And they're like texting people. And they're like,
right. Yeah.
Okay. And like 10 minutes later, okay, we got approval for that. Like
that's right. Yeah.
They really don't want you doing that. It like you said, it depends on every set, and, they'll let you know, oh, you can go a little free at the end of this take, or,
Right.
As long as they got what they needed, maybe then you can start to, but whatever helps tell the story at the end of the day,
Yeah, and that's where that improv comes in, right? The experience with improv.
For sure.
So this said, do you guys have any advice for younger guys just starting out in the business? Your wisdom.
I mean,
Or older people who
Or
are
maybe-
starting out
maybe
too,
you
right?
don't-
It could be older people starting out. It doesn't have to be young
Yeah.
people.
see, that's
I was
Yeah, I
gonna
know
say,
some older people.
Yeah.
there's
I
people
was
that
gonna say maybe you don't want to create competitors. So
there's people
Well,
that are
that's
so many
yeah.
different stages of this. It's hard to give one piece of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
sure.
the advice I would give to a beginner would be much different from the advice I would give to somebody who's maybe looking to level up or something like that.
Well, let's do one. Like, what would you say to a beginner, younger person, and then
Okay,
maybe what
here's
might you say
something
to a
that-
level up?
And I'm gonna say her name. This wasn't
Oh.
intended to be like a plug or anything, but I learned from this woman, and she's incredible. And if you want to go learn from her, whatever, her name is Crystal Carson.
Mm-hmm.
And she does a thing auditioning by heart, and that course changed my just whole way of thinking. And one of the things she said is that actors get hired in the silences. Actors get hired in the silences. So we all get the same script. We all know the same lines. But it's what everything that you have going on behind it that's going on in between those lines that's interesting for camera and interesting for what you're trying to do. And that is a phrase that stuck with me because you're normally so intent on, okay, my line. Then he says his line, and then I get angry a little, and then I say my line again. And then, so
Right.
it's really, it's the, and you can take your time. Everyone always just rushes too, because they're like, oh my God, this thing is so, take your time, breathe into stuff. And it's all the thought in between the lines that everybody has. That's what's going to book you work, because that will show who you are. And because you come out in those, in the silences.
That's great
So
advice. That's
that's-
great advice. Yeah.
That's solid advice for anyone at any level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to make it as general as I could.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
I think in terms of advice, I look at this thing as you got to really ask yourself why you're doing this. You know, a lot of people ask me, you know, when did you know you wanted to be an actor? Or why, how? And I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just know I have to do it, you know, and I don't say that to sound all spiritual or whatever, but I just, you know, the younger Adam, if I was talking to him today,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, start to love the journey, you know, like this thing takes a lifetime, and you got to have great patience. And for me, it really started clicking, I'd say 10, 11 years ago, where the journey of, you know, what we're doing, if it's an audition, if it's a lunch with a producer, if it's, you know, you got to start loving the journey, because, you know, the finish line is just that. It's over once you get to the finish line. And, you know, just the idea of, just being really sure of why you're doing this thing is what I would say.
That's
You know, Adam, you just gave me, you just reminded me of a bit of wisdom. The one time I had wisdom passed on. Young friend of mine who was an actor and working in a restaurant, and wasn't sure what he was going to do. And I guess maybe I shouldn't put it that way. I think he was sure, but it occurred to me, and I guess there's a number of people who've had this attitude. I just said, "What are you?" "Well, I'm a waiter." "No, what are you? Are you an actor who happens to be waiting tables, or are you a waiter who happens to be acting?"
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people who are waiters who happen to be acting. And that what you just said made me think of that. You have to be an actor who happens to be waiting tables.
Yeah. And, you know, just last week or 2 weeks ago, I was on set, you know, and it was pretty hot that day. It was still in the high 80s. I was wearing my uniform, which is a long sleeve shirt, a jacket, a t-shirt underneath, a hat, really thick pants, boots, and we were shooting on a bus without air conditioning. And I had the mask on because you can't take the mask off until the first AD says we're hot, masks off. And just so much sweat pouring down my face. And the Boom was standing in front of me in shorts and tank top. And he's like, you okay, man? And I just, without thinking, I was like, there's no other place I'd rather be right now.
Nice.
It's
sure.
Another similar story. I was on Iron Fist, and I had one of those moments like Brandon was talking about where I went from Feed the Beast to Iron Fist, and there was a couple of weeks of work after Feed the Beast. And, there was one night where it seemed as if the director might be butting heads with the producers, and he just kept filming the hell out of this episode. And it was, we checked in at 3:00, and at like 5:36 in the morning, we were still sitting there, me and another actor, waiting to keep shooting. And people were complaining. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, what the hell's going on?" And we just looked at each other like, keep us here for another 24 hours, like where else? That's where, that's my juice. That's the action for me, that's
Well,
where I feel the most at peace, to be honest with you.
That's one of the one of the weird things about it is that on a set, I'm used to roaming. Like when
Brandon's a roamer.
Yeah.
Talk to this guy, talk to that guy, hit crafty, do all sorts of stuff. And now with this whole COVID stuff, you have to stay in your zone.
Right.
At the crafty table, they're like, "Sure, hold on. Okay, he's coming through. We need to clear it." And they had to like clear.
Shut it down.
Just so I can go and get a protein bar. You know what I'm saying? And it's
right.
It's just a whole different world, but still I love it, but it's not what it was 7 months ago.
I'm interested to see where this goes and what we evolve into from here, and how we make this all work as we move.
Man, it was intense. I shot over like a 2-week period, and I got tested maybe 8 different times.
Wow.
I had to go to different places every single day on set. I'd get tested. You have to stay in your own. I mean, it's almost like clinical, what do you want for lunch? We'll bring it to you. And it's very, and for me, I was a little like, bound because I was like, man, I want to like go and hang out with people and blah, blah. So it's, but I still love it. Absolutely. But I just can't wait for it to get back to how it was.
That would be nice. Yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for spending time with us tonight. Is there anything else you want to share, or like maybe tell us how, if people are looking for you, where they can find you online before we wrap things up for tonight?
Sure. Thank you both for having me and us. And you can find my website is www.adamfeingold, my name, adamfeingold.com. And I have been to Hunter Mountain, and I love it.
Isn't it great?
I'm an avid skier, or I became an avid skier, and Hunter Mountain's great. So thanks for having me.
Sure thing.
Next year it'll be we'll have you live if we're live again. I'm sure we will.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Season 3, hopefully.
There we go. Yeah.
Right on. I'm not on social media a ton. I know I should be, but it's something I struggle with. I guess you could look me up on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm at OG Brandon Morris. Also, you can check out my IMDb if you search my name.
Sure thing.
See what I did and have got going on and I am going to do and all that good stuff.
That's great.
Talent representation can be found on the IMDb page if any casting directors are looking in for auditions.
Absolutely. We don't want to say their name because we want to keep them in our pocket.
Yes.
We love our agency and they treat us very well, and we like keeping
it
small.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. So before we sign off, we just want to remind everybody who's watching to make sure to check out all the other cool film events happening at Hunter Mountain Film Festival, October 23rd through the 25th, 2020. The year so nice. They named it twice. Not really. At huntermountainfilmfestival.com. You can actually follow us on Instagram at rollthecredits_podcast. I think that's the right term, right? Underscore, for links to more great interviews with the amazing folks who make film and TV possible. Adam, Brandon, thank you so much. Chris, I think you know what time it is.
Yeah.
Time to roll the credits.
Credits.
Take care, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.